Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we want to talk once again about pushing, and the special thing we want to talk about is the dragons in my CC. You saw the army I'm using right now in the beginning of the video, and I tested around so far a lot. I use it like different combinations of Queen Charge Hawk armies. I used Queen Charge Lalo in this season. I used Sui Lalo. I used a lot of different strategies in the beginning of the season, which is in the end the reason why I was so low at the beginning and during mid-season pretty much. But now I came back to my favorite army, I would say, and now I want to talk about why the heck do I have dragons in my CC and not for example, Ice Golem and P.E.K.K.A, or 2 Ice Golems and 2 Loons, or 2 Ice Golems and a Baby Dragon. All those are normal combinations, but in my opinion, they are not good enough for pushing, because those combinations rely on a special case where your queen is getting damaged, but at the same time your healers can't switch because of your queen is getting damaged. But if that's not the case and your healers are switching, the attack will go horrible wrong. The reason why I'm putting dragons in there are a couple of reasons for that. First off, if there are cannons, a ground expo and stuff like this, you're sharing the damage, which means the air expos, arch towers for example, are shooting at your dragons while your queen is getting shot by cannons, by ground expos, which means you're sharing the damage, which means in the end your dragons can stay alive longer. Sure, there are special cases where you're charging into an air defense and the air defense isn't dying, which means your dragons are coming up next to the air defense and the dragons are getting shot by it. It is happening, but it's not happening too often. On this attack, you saw perfectly they got triggered, they triggered a couple of black mines as well. And all this stuff together, I will show you guys a couple of better examples for this later. We have many 3-stars, but this is kind of like the main reason why I think dragons right now for pushing are really good. I don't think that they are in general better than Ice Golems and P.E.K.K.A. I think if you know how the troops will path, which means in the war, you always know that okay, Ice Golem P.E.K.K.A, if it makes sense, it's better, obviously. But if there are no air defenses, you can always bring the dragons as well. So that's what I'm trying to tell you guys. On this one, the dragons were coming in clutch as well. Let's take a look at the first, at the entry pretty much of this base. We soaked up a black mine really early, using the king on the right side and then the P.E.K.K.A on the left side to make sure that my queen is going actually inside. We have a lot of damage on my queen, but we don't have to use her ability yet. Now the king is coming out, the enemy CC is getting lured and all this stuff. There are so many traps coming up, and now my own king is dead. CC is switching, which means we have to drop the poison and hope that the queen is pretty much staying alive. And yeah, due to the tunnels not getting activated by my queen, we can get through that. The Ice Golem and the defensive CC is a bit annoying, but we got that. Now we're soaking up another black mine, which means we have to use the queen ability, which is a little bit unfortunate, but still we get a lot of value due to the ability, which means we get the town hall, we get the enemy queen, and even this the warden, which means we can use our freeze if we want to make sure that that our own queen is staying alive. Now we are using the ram to create a better pathing for our hawk riders with the early heal spell to make sure that all of our hawk riders are staying alive. The earthquake onto the core just to soft everything up. You always want to drop them on the high HP buildings. Normally, obviously, you want to use them to activate the town hall, but on this one, we charged the town hall, so it wasn't possible. The dragons, meanwhile, are clearing out the bottom and clearing out all of the trash. We have to pretty much snipe the archer tower to have less damage on our dragons to keep them alive a little bit longer. Meanwhile, the hawk riders are getting through the base. There's only 1 air defense left, 2 archer towers, and that's basically it when it comes down to those air targeting defenses. So let's check out the rest. We are already placing a couple of archers to make sure to speed everything up to make sure that we don't run out of time, because we have only 50 seconds left. which could be in the end a bit of a problem. At the same time, we have our warden running around without any plan. That's what he's normally doing. And then we're a little bit lucky that we don't call so far any black mines, which means, okay, all of the black mines were around the town hall, which was a bit unlucky, I guess, or good for the base builder. Meanwhile, we're placing a couple of wizards with the minions and supporting everything. And 20 seconds left, only 2 buildings left. And this should be a triple due to having dragons in the CC. And this is going to be the second one I want to show you guys. Let's get into the next one. The next one is going to be on this base. And on this one, I can tell you like 100%, if I would have brought a different CC than double dragons, this would have went completely different. So let's check out what I tried to do. I found on the left and on the right and try to get my queen in between of the eagle and the inferno tower to make sure that we actually get into the base and our queen is smashing through the base into the, or like next to the tunnel compartment, because our ram won't make it too far, like 2 layers, and that's basically it. Because the warden is dealing so much damage, it's just not possible to get any more value pretty much. So dragons are coming out, soaking up the first black mine, the second black mine, which means if we would not have any of those dragons in the CC, we would have lost 2 healers. And we couldn't bring a coconut loon because the cannon is still alive, which means we had to delay it pretty much. So there's no chance for us to have a coconut loon in those spots, which means you would have been at 3 healers. And let's take a look at our queen and what she's getting over the raid and just check it out. Okay, the first minion is clearing out the last couple of pups. And now, like I said, we force our queen through the wall into the town hall because there are no other buildings left which she could target. So she had to go for the town hall. Is going for the town hall, then switching back to the CC. Meanwhile, we are starting with the hot quarters. 1 minute 30 left, so that should be a good spot. Had to use our queen ability, and even with the rage and 3 healers, she probably would have already died. But due to having all of her healers, we can keep her alive with the rage, making sure that our Hogwarts are getting through the base with the warden ability, and the queen still alive. Like I said, I think with only 3 healers, you can't get her, like have her full health pretty much. If there are 2 expos shooting at her, that's never ever working. And just take a look at how much value that queen still has. And without those 2 healers, that would have been ripped pretty much. So I just want to show you guys why I think that the dragons are not worse than Icebreaker. And at the same time, they are a lot better at not having those random healer switches, especially when you're having 30 seconds for planning an attack. You can't really plan out on having a healer switch or not having a healer switch. That's just not possible in the 30 seconds. So that's why I'm preferring the dragons over the Ice Golem and the P.E.K.K.A. But at the same time, both is possible. Both options are working. But for me personally, I think the dragons are for me a better option because I failed so many times due to having the healer switches. So it's got way too annoying for me. The next attack is going to be against Tuantran, which is the guy who was at the number 1 spot when we copied his army. And let's see whether we can get the triple on him. We tried to get into the 9 o'clock compartment, in the Inferno Tower compartment. And one nice thing you have to know about the Eagle is we can reach the Eagle out of the Inferno Tower compartment, which is super important if you're planning out those attacks because it's 3 tiles away from the wall, even though it's a corner, but it's still possible to reach it, which is super nice if you're charging into this compartment because you can not only reach the Eagle, you can reach the enemy queen as well. By the way, without the dragons, this attack would have been horrible because, I messed up the poison, so yeah, it was kind of nice to have the AoE damage from the dragons. But still, like I said, my queen is reaching the Eagle and then going further into the Town Hall, We still have to wait with our Hog Riders because we don't know yet where our queen is going. We know the queen sometimes behaves really random, so we kind of have to wait what she's doing. We are forcing the queen into the base due to having the wizard on the outside. We know our queen is going through the correct wall, so we can start off with the Hog Riders. We don't have to save any of those for the Town Hall. We immediately start off with the miner as well, just to make sure that the barracks and the queen building in the base is getting rid, like someone was taking care of this. Meanwhile, our queen is getting raged, getting through all of this. And now we're using the warden ability to make sure that the bomb tower isn't doing any damage to our Hog Riders. We have still the earthquake, a freeze, and a heal spell left. And that means basically GG for the space. It's getting completely smashed. We have the earthquake just in case of if our queen wants to break out over there. And wizards are doing the work. 45 seconds left. Still a freeze spell left. So much troops left. And this is going to be an overkill to triple the next base. And like I said, all of the wizards around, 2 minions still up, placing the wizards, the minions somewhere just to make sure that I can always zoom out and like go into the different corners because I'm really scared of time fails and like missing a couple of buildings. So yeah, on this one we had to get a little bit creative because you guys see me really often to switch around with the siege machines, and that's something which is really important if you're relying on the siege machine to open up walls, because some people are preferring wall breakers while I prefer the siege machines. And the important thing is you have to know when you have to switch, which means on this one, if I would have used the ram, I could have opened up probably the compartment behind the town hall and the town hall compartment as well. But what I would not have opened is the compartment next to the queen, like this long alley pretty much for my queen, which is super important to reach actually the enemy queen. So I could not have entered this compartment without using the slammer. So that's something to keep in mind if you're using the queen charge Hog Rider attack or like any queen charge attack, which is relying on the siege machine to open up walls. You always have to pick the correct one. And this is based on the angle you're coming from into the town hall or what you want to open up for your queen. On this one, I clear all of the buildings, the CC, then my queen is kind of stepping into the next compartment to clear out the warden, the wizard tower, the elixir storage. I'm always checking out the right side to know where should I start from, like with my Hog Riders. 1 minute and 30 seconds left. I have to use the rage just to make sure that first off my queen isn't dying. Second, I need to like speed up a little bit. And now we're starting off with the Hog Riders from the bottom because the Archer Tower, enemy queen, and the Bomb Tower is getting taken out by my own queen, so we don't have to care really about that. First heal spell through the eagle shots, then the Tornado Trap is in the core. And this means my Hog Riders will have no problem to go through the rest of this base, freezing the eagle just to make sure that there's too much damage on my Hog Riders. And well, the earthquake was way too late. I should have dropped it onto the X-bows and the eagle, but well, it was too late, so I only dropped it onto the couple of X-bows on the right side and the Inferno Tower. Meanwhile, my queen went through the wall, which was nice, clearing out the Inferno Tower and now clearing out a couple of more buildings. Meanwhile, I tried to snipe on the right side the Tesla with miners and a couple of wizards. And that's basically it. I work around the base, try to snipe as many buildings as possible, try to place as early as possible cleanup. I still have the loon left. I try to place it as soon as the air defense is down. And this means we have 20 seconds left for a couple of buildings, and this is going to be another 3-star. So let's check out where we finished this day. Just to keep in mind, even though the video is coming out today, I had to pre-record because of the Tokyo trip. So for me it's the 12th, and for you guys it's probably a different date. So on this one we're number 2 and 1 in Germany, and we're number 9 in the world, and I think number 20 something, yeah, number 20 as well. So kind of good day, and I hope the next days will be good as well. I hope you guys learned something once again, and I will see you guys in the next one.